Hi, welcome to our fifth video in this series of the Tour Divide route that we rode in 2022. I'm Andre, and with me is my wife.
And I'm Gerda, and we are in our early 60s, and we live in Kelowna, BC, and we absolutely love cycling, and we planned this trip for the last 3 years, but could only do it in 2022 because of COVID.
We decided to make these videos and write a blog that'll be available soon from the information that we sent when we updated our family while we were doing the route. We personally learned so much from watching people who did the ride and the tour previously, including videos from Sweary Dave, as well as Marion and Fred, as well as read multiple books over the last 4 years, including the Cordilleras. We would also like to give back to the community of cyclists and sharing our knowledge, especially regarding northbound route that we did in 2022. We hope with that just to inspire people to hopefully, like us, just do it.
Our previous experience with cycling is many tandem trips for specifically to Italy, Pacific Coast, Atlantic Canada, the Gaspé Peninsula, Jasper Banff, and our first bikepacking trip was BC Epic and a Great Divide route from Canada to Montana to basically from Banff to Butte. We also love camping and bike tours. We did a lot of that together, and Namibia safaris and kayaking on Barron Lakes and Yukon River. We just love to do stuff together.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the famous, the one and only Gerda practicing hike a bike. Yeah. What do you say, Gerda? The wind and the mountain. Yeah, then it will be probably quite easy. Then we might ride our bikes.
We really wanted to do the Great Divide route, as we thought it's the ultimate challenge in North America, being a well-known epic ride, to test our abilities and force us to train. This route is mostly off-road, which we love, as there's not a lot of cars and traffic on these roads, and especially because we love nature and love camping. Our preparation for the ride included lots of riding in summer, as we both did more than 600 hours of exercise per year for the last 4 years to try and get fit enough for it. In summertime it was mostly cycling, which included lots of 7 to 10 hour rides and lots of climbing on a local mountain called Knox Mountain in Kelowna, as well as the Kettle Valley Railway above Kelowna. In wintertime we did quite a fair amount of riding on our fat bikes, as well as cross-country skiing and indoor training on our spin bike and rowing machine. Part of the training was to make sure our gear is going to work, with some test trips, especially on Cowichan Lake's rail trail on Vancouver Island, which helped us a lot, as we did it in early spring, and it helped us to get our cold weather gear sorted out, as we had a few days of up to -7. We also made lists of everything that we have to take and got the information from other people's lists that they published previously, the books that we read, and experience on previous trips. This included testing our stove, as we both have a jet boil and an alcohol stove, and finally decided to take the jet boil, but also test our gear, including our tent, our rain gear, and food.
We felt ready to do the trip, but in early April we both had COVID, and so we couldn't train for the last 5 weeks before we were set to fly out to Phoenix on May 14th. But we just felt to just go for it and do it.
Some of the highlights of our trip for me was literally every day in nature. Every day there was just an awesome moment, either because of birds or animals, but especially just the views that we saw that stopped it in our tracks. One of the special moments to me was when we did a ride between Atlantic City and Pinedale, close to Boulder, and there was an eagle that actually flew probably 10 yards from me, next to me, for 1 to 2 minutes. Just something that you probably never experience in your life. Also, the eagle next to the road in Flag Ranch that just sat there while I was taking photos of it, as well as the finish in Banff, because the so-called fear of failure is always with you as you really want to try and finish an epic ride like this.
The highlight for me was one night at Luder campsite. In the middle of the night, I stepped out of the tent and the stars were unbelievably beautiful. It was so close, it feels like I could touch it. It was a very awesome moment of the beauty of nature. It reminded me of the verse in Psalm 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands.
The best day of a trip, always difficult because we really enjoyed every day, but probably the second last day to Spray Lakes campground, as we only did a very short distance and then had the rest of the day at a beautiful campground just to reflect and everything that we experienced over the previous 6 weeks.
For me, the most perfect day was from Sargent's to Salida, as the previous 3 days were really tough. This was very surprising because Marshall Pass was easier and the grade was just easy enough to do, and the surroundings were just perfect and beautiful.
Worst day of the trip, easy for me. The small section that we did through Idaho, we hit the Mesa Rail Trail, which is just washboard, lots of ATV noise, lots of ATVs in the road, and not the nicest area of the whole trail.
For me, the worst day of the trip was from Atlantic City to the campground where Mike was raising the Canadian flag. The wind was horrendous.
Toughest day on the trip, easy one. The ride from Rawlins to Atlantic City, which we planned to do over 2 nights to try and limit the thermal winds, which ended up in a 1-day trip of more than 15 hours of riding.
On Union Pass with just no stops.
15 hours of riding in a 22-hour period with severe headwinds, rain for about 4 to 5 hours, massive snow and rain and wind warning coming in, and we just had to push through to Atlantic City. Extremely tough day, but also afterwards one of the most rewarding days of the whole trip.
The toughest day for me was the second day from Hashita to Silver City. We had a very relentless headwind of 30 knots for about 50 kilometers of the route, and it was a very hot 36 degrees. And that also made that my frame bag, the top frame bag, the seams got loose from the heat, and it wrapped against my leg that I didn't notice it, but it was inflamed by the time we got to Silver City. So I was also recovering from a cold, really struggling to get rid of a cough, so that made it my toughest day.
Did I ever want to stop? Definitely no. In fact, the last week we felt sad that the trip's actually going to end.
I never want to stop. It was really awesome. I got a lot of questions after the tour. Will I ever do it again? And definitely yes, I would love to do it again, but probably from north to south, just to have a total different experience.
Yes, I agree with Gerda. We didn't have enough of a trip yet. We'd love to spend more time on the divide. Probably maybe at the same pace. Unless if I decide to do it again on my own, then I might try and race it in a 30-day pace. But it was great. We'd love to do it again. My advice for riders would be not to race this route unless you've got a lot of experience with similar very long races. I think it's awesome to tour it and then maybe consider to race it at a later stage.
My advice for riders would be expect to change your plans every single day and just go with the flow.
And then we have a special one for the grandkids. Oma, why are you pushing your bike? As you can see, Gerda, why are you going backwards? You can't go forwards by going backwards.
You want my fingers?
Oh, Gerda's got 5 fingers. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Woo, she's in for stride. She's got the stride. Okay, go for it, girl. Go, go, go. One with the law. She's doing it. She's doing it. She's passing me. Where's my bike? What's my bike doing there? Oh, Gerda's going back again. Gerda's going forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards. Now she's going. She's gonna beat this hill. Is it fun?
Yeah.
Does the beat working? Yeah, it's working. And ladies and gentlemen, we're still on Lava Mountain. We invented a new sport called downhill bike pushing. And after winning the uphill bike pushing competition, there's our world record holder, Gerda. Gerda, show us how do you do it. Oh, she's got it all under control. She's on the brakes. Having fun, girl?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Downhill.
Sure, that's not what I heard, but anyway. Woohoo! She's picking up speed. She's going.
Another piece of advice would be for people just to absolutely enjoy it. It's such a privilege doing this ride, and in my case especially with the love of my life, my wife Gerda.
Is there anything I want to change? I would say I would love to camp more. It was just not possible in 2022 with all the wildfires in New Mexico.
Yeah, from my side, we thought our tent was waterproof, especially as I seam sealed it just before we started. Unfortunately, it started leaking at the end of the trip. We already bought a new MSR Haba Haba to replace it. And the other thing I would recommend is people to really check your rain gear, especially when it's raining and it's 2 to 3 degrees. We took ponchos with our OR Helium rain jackets and pants, and actually will upgrade the ponchos by adding some arm sleeves as well.
I think the fact that we use electrolytes help us a lot to keep our nutrition very good every day.
I was surprised that Gerda lost 7 kilograms and I lost 14 kilograms on this whole trip, in spite of the fact that we thought we ate a lot, and we did eat a lot. and obviously we'll just have to try eat more next time. The most memorable experience for me was after our toughest day from Rawlins to Atlantic City, where we did 225 kilometers and arrived at 2 a.m. in Atlantic City, and Bill from Wild Bills was actually waiting outside for us to show us our warm cabin. Just amazing.
The most memorable experience for me was when we met Sean Cheshire and Jesse and Scott. And after talking to her a while, we realized that she is legally blind and that she finished this whole route. That is an amazing thought for me. Yeah, so that's the plan. Out. Check the details. Okay, out.
Thank you.
We'll see. Out. That's all for me. Out.
Over and out for now. We're just enjoying another beautiful day on the divide. Anything else, Gerda?
Nothing. It's a beautiful day. It's rainy. Be warm.
Okay.
Out.
Over and out. Cheers for yes.